Have you ever wondered what truly goes on inside a woman's mind? How she thinks, how she reasons, and why she reacts the way she does in moments you least expect. Today we're diving deep, beyond the surface, beyond the cliches, into the secrets of the female brain that most men will never understand. Every choice she makes, every word she speaks, every silent moment holds a story, a reason, a hidden emotion. By the end of this video, you'll see women in a way you've never seen before, and it might just change the way you connect, love, and communicate forever. Comment below your location where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to uncover more truths that can change your life. Have you ever stopped to think about how a woman's mind truly works? Not the stereotypes, not the cliches, but the intricate, astonishing network of thoughts, feelings, and reasoning that define her every decision. Understanding this is not just fascinating, it's transformative. The female brain is wired in ways that allow for a complexity and depth of perception that is often misunderstood. From the very moment a woman is born, her brain begins to develop along unique pathways shaped by biology, hormones, and experience. This is why a woman can often sense tension in a room before anyone else notices it, or why she can remember details that seem trivial but are emotionally significant. It's not intuition alone. It's a sophisticated neurological process that blends emotion and cognition seamlessly. Science tells us that the female brain is more interconnected than the male brain in many critical areas. The prefrontal cortex, the seat of reasoning, planning, and decision making, communicates more actively with the limbic system, which governs emotions. This means that women are wired to process logic and emotion at the same time. While some people might mistake this as overthinking or being emotional, it is actually a profound strength. It allows women to consider multiple perspectives at once, to weigh consequences with a sensitivity that is both strategic and empathetic. In real life, this translates into women often noticing subtleties that others overlook: body language, tone of voice, even the unsaid words in a conversation. It's also remarkable how women's brains are structured for multitasking and adaptive thinking. The corpus callosum, the bridge connecting the left and right hemispheres, is often more robust, enabling smoother communication between analytical and creative thinking. This is why women can navigate complex situations with both logic and intuition, seamlessly balancing practical decisions with human-centered considerations. Imagine a leader in a business meeting, or a mother managing a household while solving an unexpected crisis. This is not just efficiency, it's a manifestation of neurological design at work. Understanding this helps us see why women often approach challenges differently, not less effectively. Hormones play a role too, shaping perception, focus, and mood in ways that subtly influence decision making. Estrogen, for instance, enhances verbal memory and social cognition, while progesterone and oxytocin influence empathy and emotional connection. These chemical factors mean that a woman's reasoning is never purely abstract. It is integrated with a sensitivity to human relationships and emotional context. This is why women often excel in negotiation, conflict resolution, and caregiving roles. Not because they are softer, but because their brain naturally integrates empathy with strategy, emotion with logic. Recognizing this neurological foundation allows us to appreciate why women think, process, and respond the way they do. But understanding the female brain goes beyond biology. It touches on philosophy and the human experience. Women are wired to seek meaning, to connect experiences to emotions, to see patterns in ways that transcend surface-level logic. This is why a woman may recall a conversation from years ago and understand its significance, while others might forget. Her mind is a tapestry where past, present, and potential outcomes are woven together, and this informs her reasoning in both subtle and profound ways. When you're seeing this, you realize that what may appear as indecision or overanalysis is often a deeply reflective process, a careful calibration of possibilities, outcomes, and relationships. It is also worth noting that this wiring impacts how women perceive time and consequences. Whereas some approaches to decision, making focus narrowly on immediate outcomes, women often integrate long-term effects into their reasoning naturally. She thinks about the ripple effects, not just on herself, but on the people around her, on relationships, and even on the broader context of life. This is why women are often highly strategic, even in personal matters that might seem emotional to others. Their decisions carry layers of awareness that many fail to recognize, because we are conditioned to separate logic from emotion when, in truth, they coexist seamlessly in the female brain. So when we talk about understanding the female mind, it's not about trying to predict behavior with a checklist. It's about appreciating a system designed for complexity, empathy, and depth. It's about recognizing that what may feel like intuition, sensitivity, or emotional reasoning is actually an integrated form of intelligence. Once you understand this, you stop seeing emotions as obstacles to logic, and you start seeing them as data processed with incredible nuance, data that guides actions, decisions, and interactions in ways that are both thoughtful and effective. As we reflect on this, it becomes clear that understanding the female brain is not just an intellectual exercise. It's a bridge to better communication, stronger relationships, and a deeper appreciation for the minds and hearts that shape our world. It's about learning to listen, observe, and respect the way women think, not to control or predict them, but to connect meaningfully and authentically. So, take a moment and truly consider this. The female brain is not mysterious. It is masterful. Every reaction, every insight, every decision is the product of intricate wiring, lifelong learning, and profound emotional intelligence. And when we recognize that, we gain not only knowledge, but the power to transform the way we interact, understand, and relate. Remember this. Understanding her mind is not about solving a puzzle. It's about opening a door that, once opened, can change the way you see the world forever. When we talk about how women think, we cannot separate their reasoning from their emotional intelligence. Women are wired to feel deeply, not as a limitation, but as a unique strength that shapes every thought and decision. Emotional awareness is not just about sensitivity, it's about perception, understanding, and connection. A woman often reads between the lines, noticing nuances in tone, body language, and context that others might miss entirely. This ability allows her to anticipate needs, respond to unspoken concerns, and navigate social landscapes with remarkable precision. It's not magic. It's psychology in action, an intricate integration of observation, empathy, and reflection that guides her choices in ways that are subtle but powerful. Consider the way women communicate. Unlike a surface-level exchange of information, women's communication often carries layers of meaning. A pause, a glance, a shift in tone. These are not accidental. They convey thought, feeling, and intention simultaneously. Women naturally seek connection through dialogue, understanding that words are more than vehicles of logic. They are tools of relationship. This is why conversations with women often feel immersive and multidimensional. They are attuned not just to what is said, but to how it is said, to the emotions beneath the words, and to the context that shapes meaning. Recognizing this opens the door to understanding why women's reasoning often blends logic with feeling in ways that seem, at first, hard to decipher. Empathy plays a central role in this process. Women have a remarkable capacity to perceive and internalize the emotions of those around them. This does not mean they are simply reactive. It means they process information relationally. They consider how outcomes affect others, how decisions ripple through relationships, and how emotions intersect with logic. This relational reasoning allows women to anticipate challenges, mediate conflict, and build consensus in ways that are both strategic and humane. In a sense, women's emotional intelligence is a form of advanced reasoning. It is intelligence that is relational, contextual, and nuanced. At the same time, this emotional awareness is intertwined with a deep sense of self-reflection. Women often analyze their own responses, motives, and assumptions alongside the feelings of others. This layered approach means that when a woman makes a decision, it is rarely impulsive. It is informed by experience, observation, and insight, drawing upon both the inner world of emotion and the external world of facts. This ability to synthesize multiple sources of information simultaneously is a hallmark of female reasoning, and it demonstrates how thinking and feeling can coexist to produce decisions that are not only rational but wise. We also see the philosophical dimension of this approach when women navigate ethical or moral dilemmas. Because their reasoning integrates emotional and relational understanding, women often approach problems from a perspective that values fairness, empathy, and long-term consequences. They consider not only what is effective, but what is just, what nurtures relationships, and what sustains trust. This creates a decision-making framework that is both practical and principled. In essence, women's minds are wired to evaluate reality not only for efficiency, but for harmony and meaning. This is why, in leadership, collaboration, and interpersonal dynamics, women often demonstrate a holistic approach to problem solving. They are able to hold multiple perspectives in mind at once, integrating logic, emotion, and social context. A woman may appear to weigh decisions carefully, but this is because she is processing an incredible amount of information, much of it unspoken. She considers the consequences for everyone involved, anticipating responses, and adapting strategies accordingly. What some might perceive as hesitation is actually a sophisticated form of foresight, a kind of mental choreography that balances intellect with empathy. It is also important to understand that this style of thinking is not limited to personal or emotional contexts. Women's communication and reasoning patterns influence every area of life, from career choices to negotiation tactics to creative expression. Women excel in environments that require collaboration, nuanced problem solving, and an ability to understand perspectives that differ from their own. Their capacity to combine analytical reasoning with emotional insight creates solutions that are not only effective but sustainable and considerate. Yet society often misunderstands or undervalues this combination of emotional and logical reasoning. There is a tendency to label emotion-driven thought as irrational, without recognizing the sophisticated integration at work. But when we truly observe, we see that women's reasoning is deeply strategic, context-aware, and profoundly adaptive. Understanding this requires shifting our perspective from judging the presence of emotion to appreciating its role in informing wise and balanced decisions. So, when you engage with a woman, listen closely, not just to her words, but to the layers beneath them. Observe how she weighs information, reflects on relationships, and integrates insight with empathy. Recognize that her communication and reasoning are not separate from her emotional depth. They are a product of it. And when you do, you begin to see that women's thinking is not mysterious, nor unpredictable, but purposeful, layered, and deeply intelligent. Remember this: emotional intelligence is not a weakness, it is a form of power. Women teach us that logic and feeling are not opposing forces, they are partners in the art of reasoning. By appreciating this, you can learn to connect more meaningfully, make better decisions, and approach life with a deeper understanding of human complexity. Understanding how women think is not just about comprehension, it is about connection, insight, and growth. When we think about logic and reasoning, it's easy to assume that women approach problems the same way men do. But that assumption misses the deeper reality. Women's reasoning is not less logical, it is different, and in many ways more nuanced. Women integrate emotion, intuition, and rational thought in ways that create a holistic decision-making process. While men might focus narrowly on outcomes or efficiency, women often weigh the implications of a choice on relationships, context, and long-term impact. This is not indecision, it is strategy. Women think in layers, connecting data, past experiences, social cues, and emotional resonance, producing solutions that are both practical and profoundly informed. This integration of logic and emotion allows women to anticipate consequences in ways that appear almost prescient. When a woman considers a choice, she is simultaneously asking herself, how will this affect me? How will it affect others? What ripple effects might emerge that no one sees yet? This multi-dimensional approach explains why women are often excellent problem solvers in complex, uncertain situations. They are not acting on impulse. They are calculating, reflecting, and projecting, using their unique neurological wiring to balance reason and empathy. Women's reasoning patterns are also deeply relational. Unlike reasoning that treats choices as isolated events, women's decision-making often considers context and connection. They recognize that no action exists in a vacuum. Every decision intersects with relationships, responsibilities, and potential outcomes that extend beyond the immediate moment. This relational intelligence enables women to navigate conflicts with subtlety, to negotiate outcomes that satisfy multiple stakeholders, and to manage situations where both facts and feelings matter. It is a kind of reasoning that sees the world not only as it is, but as it will be, factoring in human behavior, emotional states, and long-term consequences. At the same time, women employ strategic foresight that is grounded in both observation and experience. They notice patterns, social, emotional, practical, that others may overlook. By integrating these observations into their reasoning, women can anticipate challenges and opportunities alike. This pattern recognition, combined with emotional awareness, allows women to make decisions that are adaptive and resilient. They do not simply react to events. They plan, adjust, and navigate with a careful attention to nuance. In life, business, and relationships, this approach produces outcomes that are sustainable, balanced, and often more comprehensive than decisions made through pure logic alone. Women also excel in scenarios that require creative problem solving. Their ability to connect seemingly unrelated ideas, to integrate empathy with analytical thought, allows them to see possibilities others miss. This is why women frequently succeed in environments that demand innovation, collaboration, and complex decision making. Their reasoning is neither purely rational nor purely emotional. It is a synthesis, an intelligent orchestration of multiple dimensions of thought. Understanding this allows us to appreciate why women's decisions, even when they seem unconventional, are often deeply calculated and effective. It's important to dispel a common misconception. Because women integrate emotion into reasoning, it does not make their logic weaker. It makes it richer. Emotion is not a bias, it is information. It is data about context, relationships, and human behavior that, when properly interpreted, guides more informed and holistic choices. Women's reasoning demonstrates that intelligence is not one-dimensional. True reasoning is the ability to balance facts, feelings, experience, and foresight. And women have mastered this balance in ways that are both subtle and profound. The philosophical aspect of this is equally compelling. Women's thinking often reflects an awareness that life is interconnected, that actions ripple outward in ways that logic alone cannot fully predict. Their decisions frequently weigh moral, ethical, and relational considerations alongside practical outcomes. In this sense, reasoning becomes a form of wisdom. It is not merely solving a problem, it is understanding its place in a larger context. Women teach us that reasoning is not a cold calculation, but an art of integrating knowledge, emotion, and perspective. Consider how this manifests in everyday life. A woman may approach a personal conflict, a professional challenge, or a life decision by simultaneously assessing facts, evaluating emotional dynamics, and predicting long-term outcomes. She may pause, reflect, and even revisit her assumptions, not because she doubts herself, but because she is committed to making a choice that aligns with both reality and values. This is a sophisticated approach, one that blends intuition, intelligence, and insight, producing reasoning that is adaptive, ethical, and forward-looking. Understanding women's reasoning also reshapes how we interact with them. When we recognize that logic and emotion coexist in their thought processes, we learn to listen differently, to value nuance, and to appreciate subtlety. It becomes clear that what may appear as hesitation, indecision, or overthinking is actually careful deliberation, a multidimensional evaluation of information, context, and potential outcomes. Women's reasoning is not to be decoded. It is to be respected, observed, and engaged with thoughtfully. So, when you think about how women reason, remember this. Their logic is not weaker, it is layered. It is relational, intuitive, strategic, and profoundly aware of human complexity. They challenge us to reconsider our own definitions of intelligence, to understand that reasoning is not only about facts, but about the interplay of mind, heart, and experience. The female mind demonstrates that true wisdom comes from integrating knowledge with empathy, analysis with insight, and reason with understanding. As we close this segment, take a moment to reflect. Every choice a woman makes is the product of a mind that balances logic, emotion, and foresight in perfect harmony. Appreciating this is not just an intellectual exercise. It is an invitation to deepen connection, to communicate more meaningfully, and to engage with the world through a richer lens. Recognize the sophistication, respect the depth, and embrace the insight. Understanding how women think is not about predicting every move. It is about opening your mind to the power of reasoning informed by wisdom, empathy, and